Hi, and welcome to Crushing English. Today, I'll be giving you 25 English collocations that will help you become a native English speaker. But first, before anything else, please like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss any of my free English lessons. Now, let's get started. What are English collocations anyway? English collocations are like word pairs that go together naturally because people often use them that way. For example, we say make a decision instead of create a decision because it sounds right to native speakers. These word pairs help us speak and write in a way that sounds natural and correct in English. Let's move on to our first example. Make a decision. To make a decision means to decide. For example, she couldn't make a decision about what to order from the menu. Here's another example. He finally made a decision to accept the job offer. So again, our English collocation is make a decision, which means to decide. Next, take a break. To take a break means to rest briefly or for a short while. Here's our first example. Let's take a break and have some coffee. Here's another example. I need to take a break from studying. I'm exhausted. Again, to take a break means to rest briefly or for a short while. Next, have a conversation. To have a conversation means to talk with someone. For example, I had a long conversation with my friend last night. Here's another example. Can we have a conversation about our future plans? Again, to have a conversation means to talk with someone. Next, give advice. To give advice means to offer guidance or suggestions. For example, she always gives great advice when it comes to relationships. Here's another example. Can you give me some advice on how to prepare for the interview? Again, give advice means to offer guidance or suggestions. Next, take notes. To take notes means to write down information. For example, during the lecture, I took notes on my laptop. Here's another example. It's important to take good notes in class to study later. Again, take notes means to write down information. Next, make an appointment. To make an appointment means to schedule a meeting. For example, I need to make an appointment with my dentist. Here's another example. He made an appointment to see his doctor next week. Again, to make an appointment means to schedule a meeting. Next, keep a promise. To keep a promise means to fulfill one's commitment. So, for example, you told your friend that you'll be there at 5 p.m. You have to fulfill what you said. You have to fulfill that commitment. Here's our first example. It's essential to keep your promises to build trust. Here's another example. She always keeps her promises no matter what. Again, to keep a promise means to fulfill one's commitment. Next, catch someone's attention. To catch someone's attention means to attract someone's notice. Here's our first example. The bright colors of the poster caught my attention. Here's another example. She wanted to catch the teacher's attention to ask a question. So again, to catch someone's attention means to attract someone's notice. Next, pay attention. To pay attention is to focus on something. Here's our first example. Please pay attention during the safety briefing. Here's another example. He couldn't pay attention to the movie because of the noise. Again, to pay attention means to focus on something. Next, keep a secret. To keep a secret is to not share confidential information. Here's our first example. Can you keep a secret? I have exciting news. Here's our next example. She promised to keep my secret about the surprise party. Again, to keep a secret means to not share confidential information. Next, break a habit. To break a habit means to stop doing something regularly. For example, it's challenging to break a habit of biting your nails. Here's another example. He is trying to break the habit of smoking. So again, to break a habit means to stop doing something regularly. Next, meet a deadline. To meet a deadline is to complete a task on time. For example, we must meet the deadline for the project submission. Here's another example. He worked late to ensure he would meet the deadline. Again, to meet a deadline means to complete a task on time. Next, take a risk. To take a risk means to do something with uncertain outcomes, or you aren't sure what the result will be. So here's our first example. Starting a new business involves taking a risk. Here's another example. She decided to take a risk and travel alone. Again, to take a risk means to do something with uncertain outcomes. You aren't sure what the result will be. Next, give a presentation. To give a presentation is to deliver a speech or talk. For example, he will give a presentation at the conference tomorrow. Here's another example. She gave an excellent presentation on climate change. Again, to give a presentation is to deliver a speech or talk. Next, make an effort. To make an effort is to try hard. For example, he made an effort to improve his grades this semester. Here's our next example. We should all make an effort to save the environment. So again, to make an effort means to try hard. Next, take advantage. To take advantage is to exploit an opportunity. Here's our first example. She wanted to take advantage of the summer sale. So that means she's going to do everything to make sure that she makes the most out of the summer sale. Here's our next example. He tried to take advantage of his opponent's weaknesses. Again, to take advantage means to exploit an opportunity or to do everything in order to make the most out of an opportunity. Next, make progress. To make progress is to move forward or improve. For example, despite the challenges, we're making progress. Here's our next example. She's been working hard to make progress in her career. Again, to make progress means to move forward or improve. Next, keep the peace. To keep the peace means to maintain harmony, to make sure that everything is okay. Here's our first example. It's important to keep the peace in our neighborhood. Here's our next example. The mediator's role is to keep the peace during negotiations. So again, to keep the peace means to maintain harmony, to make sure that everything is in order or that everything is okay. Next, keep an eye on. To keep an eye on means to watch or monitor closely. Here's our first example. Can you keep an eye on the kids while I cook dinner? Here's another example. I need to keep an eye on my budget to save money. Again, to keep an eye on means to watch or monitor closely. Next, break the news. To break the news is to share important information. Here's our first example. She had to break the news of their breakup to him. Here's our next example. Breaking the news about the promotion made her nervous. So again, to break the news is to share important information. Next, take a chance. To take a chance means to risk something. For example, He decided to take a chance and ask her out. Here's another example. Taking a chance on the new investment paid off. Again, to take a chance means to risk something. Next, give a compliment. To give a compliment is to express admiration or praise. For example, she gave him a sincere compliment on his artwork. Here's another example. Giving compliments can brighten someone's day. Again, to give a compliment is to express admiration or praise. Next, make a suggestion. To make a suggestion is to offer an idea. For example, can you make a suggestion for a weekend getaway? Here's another example. She made a helpful suggestion during the meeting. Again, to make a suggestion is to offer an idea. Next, keep a journal. To keep a journal is to regularly write down your thoughts, usually on a piece of paper, or it could even be in your computer. Here's our first example. Keeping a journal helps me keep track of my goals. Here's another example. She's been keeping a journal since she was a teenager. So again, to keep a journal is to regularly write down your thoughts. It could either be on a paper or in a book or even in your computer. Now for the last and final English collocation for this video. Take a guess. To take a guess is to make an estimate. For example, I'll take a guess at the number of jelly beans in the jar. Here's another example. Can you take a guess about what's in the mystery box? So again, to take a guess is to make an estimate. And there you have it. You now learned 25 English collocations that you can use in your daily conversations, whether you're in the workplace or at home or you're just talking with your friends. Please comment down below if you found this helpful, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss any of my future videos. I'll see you next time.